Welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, the show for visionary coaches, healers, wellness pros, and small business owners who aren't just here to host another feel-good getaway, but to build a profitable, impactful retreat business. I'm your host, Shannon Jamail, retreat strategist, business mentor, and owner of a 46-acre retreat center. I've hosted over 100 retreats around the world, and I've made every mistake so you don't have to. Each week, we'll dive into the mindset, marketing, money, business, and mechanics behind sold-out, profitable retreats. Plus, hear from expert guests who are walking the talk. Whether you're planning your first retreat or scaling your 100th, you're in the right place. Welcome to the show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. I am so stoked about my guest today at our Austin studio. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. Miss Lauren Tedeschi is author of Still Momentum, How to Heal and Thrive at the Same Time. She's a certified life coach, wellness mentor, and creator of the Still Momentum experience, which I can't wait to talk about. After decades leading professional development, coaching individuals through personal and professional change, and navigating her own journey through cancer and mental health challenges, Lauren now helps people discover that stillness isn't the opposite of momentum. It's what makes meaningful momentum possible. I love that. Through intimate experiences, workshops, and retreats, Lauren creates spaces where people can pause, reconnect with themselves, and move forward with greater clarity and confidence. She's also passionate about helping retreat leaders design transformational experiences that create lasting impact for participants while building sustainable businesses. Today, we're going to talk about creating retreats that are both deeply meaningful and thoughtfully designed, and why the moments that seem quiet often become the ones that change people the most. Welcome to the show, Lauren.
Thank you so much.
I'm so glad you're here. Did I say your last name right?
Yes.
Okay, good. We tried to practice it beforehand, but sometimes my English fails me while I'm recording. So I'm so excited you're here. Why don't you first I know I gave this whole introduction, but tell everybody where you're from and just a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
So born and raised in Boston, hence the Boston accent.
Which I
go
love.
Red Sox, go Bruins, go Celtics. And I spent half the year in Fort Lauderdale, and I have 2 children, and I'm married, and I am just mad about life right now at my age of 58. And I mean that in the biggest and best way. It's such a great time.
I love it. And I feel like we're kind of connected soul sisters because, first of all, she walked in with my favorite bottle of champagne. And then we were talking about half marathons, and she's done a lot of marathon journeys and thought that really she just was done with it. And I think you're going to sign up and do a half marathon. Maybe we'll do the same one at some point because we talked about how life changes, and running at our age isn't always the best option, depending on who you are, your season, whatever. But I walk them for the most part. And so I hope you join me.
I would love to. And I'll probably be online tonight signing up for my first one because I like you, think running is just the pinnacle of endorphins, motivation.
Yeah.
It's kind of where I've always done my best creative work. Yeah. And at 58, I've slowed. I mean, things have slowed down. Yeah. And I am now walking.
Yep.
Briskly.
Yes.
And I'm trying to accept the fact that those days may have come and gone, but they're just going a little bit deeper now.
Yeah.
And the fact that I could still participate in a half marathon, I'm over the moon about it.
I think you're gonna find the same joy that I do. And it kind of reminds me, although I want you to tell us really what it is, because I'm just going off of the name in a little bit.
Of course.
It reminds me a little bit of the still momentum, because so much of our training is in stillness. It really is. Yes, our bodies are moving, but it's quiet, ideally. At least I spend a lot of time being quiet and listening and tuning in. And my training time is it's sacred to me. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, when you're at the race, it's definitely a ton of energy. There's so much energy. It's beautiful, but there's still a lot of stillness inside you. You're the body that has to keep putting one foot in front of the other through that process.
Right.
You're with your thoughts. So, but tell me, for you, tell us as the audience what still momentum actually is and what it means.
So still momentum is embracing the idea that you can pause and truly believe that slowing down doesn't mean that you're falling behind. Yeah. And stillness is not something that was innately comfortable for me. I had to really kind of work at it.
Yeah.
And I almost rejected it for a long time because I was so, can I say bullheaded without it sounding? Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, just a
Bullheaded.
woman on a mission
Go,
and
go,
just
go.
head down and keep going. And I realize the harder you push sometimes, sometimes you need to take that break and step back and be still. And I had to learn how to do that. Like that,
Yeah.
that should be something that comes naturally to people. It doesn't.
No.
And it has changed my life.
Yeah.
So I think another piece of it is understanding that being still sometimes is preparing you for the next best step. And what happens between those two things is the momentum. And when people ask me about the title, oxymoron, they really go hand in hand.
Yeah.
They're like magic.
Yeah.
If you really take the time to stop and pay attention.
So this reminds me of a little bit of my personal yoga journey. I was very into yang yoga, hard power, Bikram, holy shit, this is difficult, I'm breaking down, and kind of like
Sweat, tears.
Yeah, and kind of like even we could tie it into our previous racing because I did the triathlons and the big races.
Exactly.
And like, I have to hit this time and I've got to go fast and I've got to break myself, right? And then I found yin yoga and then I found walking. And I think they're related, right? Everything in life is related, but the walking for however many miles or doing yin yoga is not that it's easy, but it is a different pace. It's a different place that you're tapping into. And I almost think that those of us who were so yang, were so like go, 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 bullheaded, if you will, we almost are holding ourselves back by not adding in the yin, by not adding in the stillness. Your momentum is like, I can get a pretty damn good pace at doing intervals, walking with a little jogging, but being consistent and training well, than if I was just to run straight out and then get injured or, not being mindful of my body and not paying attention to what my body needs or whatever may be the case. And so I've learned that by incorporating these still practices, yin yoga, walking more instead of the hard pound the pavement running, has made me a better person. And I'm finding more joy in the process. And
I bet people like you more too.
They probably do because I'm not such an ass. Because it gives me time to reflect and to tune in, to be more self-aware. And also, it actually makes me better in the other yang areas of my life.
Right.
Which wasn't maybe the case before.
Right.
So I'm curious now how you incorporate this concept, this still momentum concept, into retreats or live experiences. Talk to me about that.
Well, first let me go back to the yoga component because I know we're speaking to retreat leaders. And the word shavasana is something that we're all very familiar with. And I think people all have their own personal experience with that pose, that restorative pose. And some people look at it as, just not moving, being completely still. And what people aren't realizing is that there's a lot going on in that moment. And there's a lot that is going to come from that moment. And instead of just dismissing it as the last 10 minutes of the class, it's a rebuilding within. And that's what still momentum is allowing and giving yourself the space and time to tap into what's going on inside of me and around me that I'm not paying attention to. Yeah. And again, it sounds like it's something that's simple, but it takes a lot of attention and a lot of work.
It does. So once again, I think we're soul sisters because when I was in these hard yoga classes, I am ashamed, y'all, because I am actually a yoga instructor. But this was 20 plus years ago. I would get up and leave and not even do shavasana. Like I would literally get up and leave.
You're not alone.
No, half the class would. Thinking, okay, I'm done. I did my workout. And now I'm not going to lay here and think. I'm not going to lay here and sit with myself.
Correct.
Right? Because that's what we're running from is we don't want to sit with ourselves. We don't want to sit with those thoughts. I think even before we go into retreats, talk to me how this started for you. Why did you write the book? Talk to me about where it all started.
So early in my career, I was in human resources and led corporate training and development and facilitated workshops and, management training and so on and so forth. And I loved it, but I was going 100 miles an hour while I was doing it. And after I had my children, I had a time and a space to stop and ask myself, is there another is there another pace? Is there another way? Is there another a path?
Yeah.
And I started really focusing on this. I don't know if it's a new concept to people, but it is. It's this slowing down. And I was afraid of it at first. I didn't know what I was afraid of. I mean, how can you be afraid of something if you don't know what it is? But when you're spending time alone and not focused on something, you never know what's going to creep in. And being able to accept those things, but then learning how to manage them it's life-changing.
Yeah. Can you give me an example of how it's changed your life?
Yes. Well, I've had thyroid cancer. I've had melanoma. But more importantly, I have, as a result of having my thyroid removed, lived with anxiety and depression. Yeah. As soon as that organ was removed, I have never been the same. Yeah. And it's been a blessing and a curse.
Sure.
It terrified me, rattled me to the bones in terms of, am I going to be living like this for the rest of my life? And I'm not proud of it, but prior to experiencing anxiety and depression, I really didn't think it was real. Like almost as if I wanted to say, okay, well, snap out of it. It's not that bad. Well, be careful what you say, because right. I realized how scary a place that can be. Yeah. And it's really then that I was forced to be still, that I had to focus on redesigning how I live my life. Mm. And in doing so, I found yoga, I found meditation, I found breath work. I took my coaching experience and applied it to wellness versus to the corporate level. Yeah. And it immediately felt right to me. Mm. And I've never looked back. I mean, I'm thrilled that my foundation was built in corporate America, but this wellness piece that I feel is missing from so many of our lives, especially the younger generation, this is where I want my energy to be. Yeah. And even my speaking, I'm hearing my voice right now as I'm talking to you, it's just so much lower and slower. And if you know me, you saw me walk in and I'm a ball of energy. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? But this is really important to me. And it's okay to slow down. Yeah. We don't have to rush through things.
Well, I think as a human species, we've been put on this almost fast forward pace, if you will. Like I listen to some books at 1.5 speed,
Right.
And,
right.
And that's where it's like we're almost, look, I don't want to say anybody's forcing us there, because we're making choices. We're making choices every day. But the pace that we're being put in, anytime we open up space, we feel it. Right? Mm-hmm. So let's say we get a new gadget or new AI or new whatever, and it's going to make our lives easier.
Right.
And it does open up a half hour, an hour, or space or something. We immediately fill it with something else. Right?
Absolutely.
That's just where we're at. And I don't, I'm so grateful there are people like you that are doing the work and spreading the news, if you will, sharing the message that you'll be a better human if you do incorporate the stillness, if you do pause, if you do, as scary as it sounds, tune in to yourself. That is really the only way through anxiety and depression. Right. As or maybe most of my audience knows, my day job used to be a mental health therapist. And I went into mental health thinking I could cure my own anxiety because, it's definitely curable. Mm-hmm. It's not. There's no cure for most mental health disorders. There are tools. There are coping tools, if you will, and you absolutely can live with it joyfully. And yes, you can medicate to a certain degree, but it's not the one all and be all. One of the biggest tools, and it's often the most scariest, is to tune in, to become self-aware, to use the type of tools that you talked about, which is a process, breath work and yoga and yoking, if you will, which is right. Bringing the mind and the body and the spirit together. And that requires a slowing down.
It does. And what's interesting is when I experienced the anxiety and depression and it was at its worst, people would say, you should try yoga, you should try meditation. And it really went in one ear and out the other. I was all about hitting the pavement, running as hard as I can.
Yeah.
And I finally was encouraged to take it, to learn it from the inside out.
Yeah.
That's what rung true to me, is when a friend of mine who's an instructor said, you need to learn this practice from the inside. I'm like, okay. I went to Greece. I picked the furthest place from home and went to a 30-day program in Greece. And I remember going through the training not to become an instructor, but really just to become comfortable being a student of stillness. And I was blown away.
Yeah.
30 days, no phone, just being, and really shifting from being terrified in that moment to feeling that absolute joy that you feel when you're laying in a Shavasana pose.
Yeah. Finding that peace in those stillness. 30 days. That's amazing. I feel like as a human species, we'd be better humans if every 2 years we did something like that. Maybe even 3, but
I agree.
Something like that, because, our systems, our nervous systems were never designed to operate at the level that we operate them at. We're in a truly a constant state of fight, flight. We're just, our cortisol levels are so high. There's just all of this stuff. And it is constant.
It is.
And we're just not designed to be at this level for as long as we go, which is why, despite being in a first world country, it doesn't really matter, but let's just say we still have so much illness. And yes, part of it is nutrition, and it's the quality of our soil and all that stuff. But the real root of why there's so many autoimmune issues, why there's so many illnesses, is stress related. It is cortisol related. It is anxiety. It's the crutch of our nervous system being just pulled to its absolute tightest all the damn time, until we either break or we get some sort of insight that we go, okay, something inside is saying, if I keep operating at this level, some shit's going to go really, really bad.
Absolutely.
Right? So we've got to figure it out from there. Talk to me about how you incorporate this into in-person experiences.
Well, I think a lot of still momentum is based on things that people, and I'm going to say women because I've really geared the book towards women, and the experiences, which are half-day workshops that I'm providing to women, are really created for people to take the time out of their day to even, look up from their desk and say, what day is it today? Like, not, did I finish my to-do list? What day is it today?
Yeah.
And that's frightening. And I guess my health journey forced me to realize the importance of stillness. Being a mom made it even more profound for me. And I think I realized this the other day when I was at a book event and someone asked me, why did you write it? And I didn't know it at the time, but I really believe I wrote it for my 25-year-old version of myself. And my daughter is now 29 and my son is 28. And I mean, I had a great family. We didn't share a lot. We didn't speak a lot. I don't think that was unusual for that generation, but there wasn't a lot to work with.
Yeah.
And this book for me is the basics. I break it down to just, I don't know how else to say it, the basics.
Yeah.
Things that are overlooked. How are you listening to yourself? And how are you listening to other people? How are you handling the fear in your life? Are you befriending it, or are you running from it? The chapters in the book, I'm not going to go into all of them, but they are basically days of a retreat. When I envision still momentum, or I should call it the still momentum framework.
Yeah.
So I wrote still momentum. I created the still momentum framework for retreats. And it's basically a structure for leaders to take on their retreats, use to add another layer, another depth, I guess, of the retreat, plus give the people that are on the retreat a common language and something to refer to.
Love it.
So I go on a retreat once a year, and I go to unplug. I want a beautiful beach. I want to sleep in if I can.
Yeah.
Go to bed early if I have to or want to. And there's not a lot of expectation from me. I just need that. But there's another big part of me that would like to carve out time for these retreats or workshops or presentations that leave me with a little work to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like not everyone goes on a retreat for that. But I do know there are people out there like me that would like to experience it while they have taken the time and the money away from their day-to-day to do something for themselves. And so I think Still Momentum, the framework itself, is primarily for people that want to go on a retreat like that with a little bit of not just slowing down and taking classes, but learning, going within, going a little deep. And I think that there are a lot of authors out there, incredible authors, as a matter of fact. Brene Brown and Mel Robbins, and everyone relates to someone differently.
Absolutely.
And,
And more than one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I really encourage retreat leaders to read wildly, make the connections with people that you resonate with. And if there's an author that resonates with you, reach out to them.
Yeah.
And if you share their excitement, their passion, then the only way to build on that, and even to build your own retreat, is to just keep adding layers.
Yeah.
And again, it's not for everyone, but it's someone that resonates with this message and wants to provide guests with an experience before the retreat, during the retreat, and after the retreat. It's built into the framework.
Okay. And so can they find that in your book?
Yeah. No, the book itself is about pausing and creating momentum.
Okay.
Healing and thriving. The framework is essentially how to do those things on a retreat.
Love it. Love it. And is that a coaching program, a membership program?
It's actually a framework right now that is tomorrow going to have the final dot on it. And it's something that, well, let me just say this. You'd have to go to the website, go to the retreat leaders page, and read the offerings. There's 3 different offerings.
Okay.
One is I could help facilitate. We could do a hybrid approach, which is we create it together. Then you present the Still Momentum framework at your retreat. Or I train you to do it on your own. So I think
I love these offerings, by the way. I love the whole done for you, done with you. Yeah, I love that there's the options depending on the personality and the season that the retreat leader's in.
Right. And I think the one thing that I really want to leave listeners with is that you are the artist of your retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And what Still Momentum is just another color palette that will add another dimension to what you're offering. So that could be, a little involvement from me, none at all, or a combination. And it's really working out well. And I'm stoked about it. It's just, it's something that's helping retreat leaders not only experience with the people on their retreats, but they're communicating after the retreat about how they're working with things and applying things that they learned on the retreat themselves. And then the guests are telling other people.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's a built-in almost sales system as well then. And I mean that in the sense that you continue the nurturing post-retreat, which is incredible. And that continued nurturing, so they've got the experience on the retreat, they've got the continued nurturing, which gets them talking about it to other people and saying, you need to experience this, and it's keeping you front of mind and keeping the thought process, the framework, if you will, front of mind, which keeps them functioning really well, talking about it like it's this whole circular thing that seems to happen.
Well, and I think, again, I go back to there are many books, some, live on shelves, some don't. Still Momentum is meant to be experienced. And I think that, there's a lot of authors, there's a lot of books, there's a lot of ways for retreat leaders now to just add not more value, more depth to what they're offering to people, because we need it.
Yeah.
When we go on these retreats, sometimes we don't even know what we need.
Well, and I also love the fact that it's giving that yin perspective that is more desperately needed as we continue down this digital path of living versus things, if you will. And what I mean by that is I work with a lot of retreat leaders that are like, well, I should add more stuff,
Right.
excursions and, just stuff to it. And I'm like, is that going to get you to the goal at the end? And it sounds like for you and what you're offering is if the retreat leader is looking at adding any kind of healing and thriving aspect to the retreat, then incorporating this still momentum could be incredibly powerful.
Right. And I probably should add, too, that over the years, and I feel like I'm dating myself because I'm like, oh, I did this before kids, after kids. But having done a lot of things over the years, a lot of things successfully, I think the majority, if not all, have been based on trust. And I think building retreats in the past, I have done well because the people that have come to my retreats have trusted me.
Yeah.
My energy is now in this framework and not leading retreats myself. But I really would like to help the retreat leaders create another dimension of trust in their experience and what they're offering to people. And it also gives the retreat leaders an opportunity to communicate with their guests after the fact on something other than how was the retreat? Next year's retreat is going to be here. Are you interested?
Yeah.
So the response has been very, very good. I'm really excited.
So you're enjoying transitioning from holding the space
Correct.
to empowering retreat leaders to hold the space differently and in this really beautiful framework that you've created.
Oh my God, now you're making me feel even more old. So now I'm mature and I don't want to do the retreat.
No, that's me. Listen, sister, I'm in the same space. I'm transitioning too. I'm still going to hold space.
Right.
But where I used to do 8 to 10 retreats a year, I'm doing 2 or 3 at most. And eventually I'll go down to 1.
Right.
And instead, I want to take my 15 plus years of hosting and help other people in this business because still momentum sounds fucking incredible.
It is fucking incredible.
Yes, from a healing and thriving perspective, but also to equip retreat leaders with this very powerful framework in a world that we really need it. And retreats, y'all, and in-person experiences, I say it over and over and over again, it is the way of the future. AI cannot host retreats.
Amen.
It cannot, right?
Amen.
So no matter what, our job, if you will, this field is only going to explode more and more. And if you just look up the statistics for wellness retreat experiences, it's literally exploding by the billions. By the billions. It's hitting trillions, okay? And so I think you and I now are entering this transition period where it's like now we want to equip, whether they're younger or older, doesn't matter to me as far as age, but these, if you will, newer retreat leaders with incredible tools so that not only are they building trust with the guests that come and then continue the relationship in a really beautiful way, but that they are not putting together some slop-ass shit, to be honest with you, and just
in this
willy-nilling it.
Right. And creating a lasting transformation is really important to any business. And I feel like, there's a lot of potential out there for retreat leaders. I wish I had the energy and I was a lot younger and I could do all the things I have imagined. But I do think that there are people that will go on retreats for the place, the magic, and, the sun and the sand. But I do think there's this yearning in women especially that get it. Okay, I am going to fall apart unless I do something. They just don't know what that thing is.
Right.
And so I agree with you 100%. Like this retreat thing is, I'm glad it's not going to end. People need this. The last one I went on was in Cabo last year, and I cried the first day because I thought, how lucky am I to be sitting here looking at this beautiful beach, horses on the beach, and there's some people, working 2 jobs, raising 3 kids. They never get a vacation. They barely get a time out for themselves. Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
And so for so many reasons, I hope retreat leaders, especially the new ones that are coming up the ranks and that are fired up about their passion, whatever their skill is, but to see a side that is also that human side, which is I need to provide something that will create a lasting impression and something that they may want to come back to, and if not, that they want to tell other people about.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's where my goal is to constantly juggle the humanity of retreats, right? Which
Right.
is do the good deed. Like this, you should not be in this just for the money. And y'all know I love profit. I'm not doing
Ding,
shit without
ding.
profit. But the piece is that it's for the humanity of it, right?
Right.
And so the healing aspect you're talking about. But that feeds into the business, and they don't have to be either or. They can be and. And so you've got the humanity and this beautiful healing, this still momentum, this awesome framework that feeds into
Yes.
a business, and it's a long-term business. It's not just a one-off. It's literally a long-term business aspect. And so that to me is the biggest win,
Absolutely.
when it comes to retreats, when it comes to the business of retreats. And so I love how your framework really fits in really beautifully for that. Tell people how they can work with you. And I know you said the 3 options, but is it just going to your website that you said is going to have the dot tomorrow?
Well, they're at, yes. So there are 3 ways to work with me, and the best thing to do is to go on the website, and there's a specific page that's for the retreat leader itself, and it'll explain exactly what the framework is, what it entails, and the different ways we can work together. Having said that, we can work however we want.
Yeah.
So if you were to come to me and say, this is something I want to do, well, we may create something together that I don't offer to anyone else, or that you offer that no one else is going to offer. So I feel like the best thing for them to do is to go to the website. I am super, super easy to get in touch with. I answer emails daily. And as this continues to evolve, and it's happening fast.
Yes.
The book came out in January, and the people that are reading the book over and over and over again was not part of my plan. But when that started happening, I was like, wow, this is resonating with people. And the people that have reached out and really explained how it's impacted their life, they're the ones that are asking about retreats. And I don't want to fill retreats anymore. I'd like to send them
to somebody else.
to somebody else that's listening, somebody else that's in the growing mode.
Yeah.
And again, I know I've said this twice, read books, find out who you resonate with. If you're passionate about their passion, the world is your oyster, so to speak, in terms of planning retreats.
Well, what you're saying, by the way, because it sounds like there's a really very open-ended, creative way to work with you. You earlier said that you don't have the energy, I think it was the words, to do all these ideas. I think you could still incorporating it. Incorporating it with somebody else where they're in charge of filling it,
Right.
but you help them build these ideas
Right.
that feed into the still momentum is what I mean. And so you can see those dreams come to fruition. You just don't have to be the one that holds them.
I kind of feel like you just gave me a still momentum reality check. Because you're right. I mean, I'm really trying hard to hold back on this one and share it with other people so that they can share it. And it's not easy to do when you want to be all things to all people. But I'm learning that you do more and do it better, more efficiently. And, people need to really believe in what they do. And when they do, magic happens. So to take on a layer into your retreat that's going to add more value. I mean, I do really believe it's the way of the future.
Yeah, and it's the more value, again, on both sides, on the humanity side of it and the business side of it. It literally hits both of those things. Where can someone get your book? By the way, her website absolutely will be in the show notes, so go to the show notes, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Google Play, get to the show notes to get to her website.
So the website is thestillmomentum.com. And one of the reasons I called it that is because it's not just about the book. It's now about the experiences and the framework. And I did there's an exercise that I do at retreats and workshops. I'm not doing retreats anymore. I'm just doing half-day workshops. But there is an exercise that I do that is super powerful, very simple, but I did create a PDF for you. And when your listeners go to the website, they can just click on the podcast page. It'll take them right to it.
Beautiful.
And like I said, the best way to get in touch with me is the website.
Is that where they buy your book as well?
Thank you.
Yeah. Where can we get your book? I know I have my copy.
Well, that's so the book is online, both on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. So you can't physically walk into a Barnes & Noble store.
Yep.
But online, and again, it's, I don't know. I feel such connection with you about your, not just energy around retreats and the building of the business. It's not about the money, but you have to make money in order for you to feel like what you've put out there is of value.
Yeah.
And as retreat leaders, you should feel that way too. This is your business.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big believer that, money is an exchange for what you are offering, but it also is incredibly important to be sustainable in what we do. And I want people to be wildly successful. And that number is different for everybody. So there's no number. And that's hard because people come to me and saying, well, how much should I make per retreat? Well, how much will make you happy?
Correct.
When you walk away from that retreat and you go home, what's the energetic exchange that feels really good and aligned for you? And then you could get into the actual dollars and cents and spreadsheets and costs and all that other shit. But at the end of the day, if you're not having a good energetic exchange with how much profit you are making on your retreats, you will burn out. You won't be able to feed back into your business. You won't be able to grow. You won't be able to hire people. You just won't be able to continue. And you'll be, a burned out version of yourself. And so money is important, but there has to be an energetic exchange for it, which is the humanity part of it. What are you providing for your guests that is transformative, that is adding value, if you will, but really it's adding growth or change, or how are they different when they leave your retreat? And then what's that energetic exchange that feels good to you based on that?
Right.
And I want people to make a lot of money doing what they love. And while you are making a lot of money, I want your guests to leave going, that was amazing. And I'd pay it again and again and again.
Correct.
And so, yeah, I just love this.
I just want to add one more thing
Please.
About the adding this framework does, I believe, give the retreat leader a better chance at having repeat clientele. And it's hard to do that when you're doing retreats because some people feel like I've already been to that place. I've already done her yoga class, his meditation class. But when you bring a framework like Still Momentum in, it opens up all sorts of avenues. And it makes it a different experience every time with different people, the same people. So I just encourage, especially those new retreat leaders out there, to just dig deep.
Yeah.
Dig deep and try to make yourself unique.
Yeah, I love that. And most people listening to this are somewhere newer in their journey, though I do have quite a few who've been teaching retreats for a while and just love tuning in so you don't feel alone. But I would encourage those who are experienced to look at different tools as well, especially if you've been operating at a very yang pace in your offerings for a long time, to consider this. And not just because it's good for business, like we said, and it's good for humanity, but it really is something that is so needed in the world that we operate in today. Right. It is desperately needed. And I think it goes into that thing that you mentioned where it's like people are so overwhelmed and stressed and anxious and sad and they don't even know what they need. And it's the still momentum. It's the stillness. It's the tuning in. But that's not something that's just going to come out and be on a big billboard telling people that that's what they need. They're going to need someone that you are going to train on why and how and change their life.
Hold their hand, because when they leave that retreat, they go home and they go back to everything they left. And that is a cord. That framework is a cord for them to their instructor. And I think it's what's the word? Magical. I've used it twice, but I do. I think I think the whole retreat industry is magic.
It is. It's magic. It's magic in action. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell the audience about?
I have so many things.
Well, if you've got one, share it.
All right. So I do have something that I'd like to share.
Yeah.
So I did go to get trained to be a yoga instructor, kicking and screaming. I did not want to do it because I wanted to run hard and run fast. And those 30 days taught me not just how to slow down physically and understand how to stay healthy while doing yoga. It it changed my life from the perspective that, number one, when they handed me the certificate, I felt like it should have said, "You are now a Navy SEAL," because I didn't anticipate moving and stretching as much as I did.
Yeah.
But it just opened up a whole new world to me. And that doesn't mean you have to go out and become a yoga instructor or try a yoga class. It could be a walk in the park.
Mm-hmm.
That type of stillness can be as powerful to you as, a class every day of yoga. So you need to find your stillness, your place of stillness.
Yeah.
Don't force it.
I'm so glad you said that, because it does look different for different people, for everybody. It reminds me of my practice, where I have lots and lots of tools that I can teach someone for mental health, but I may teach you one and you're like, this is the one. Mm-hmm. And then for somebody else, they're like, that shit did not help me at all. Mm-hmm. And that's because not one of our DNA is coded the same, not one. And so that goes into our spiritual being, it goes into our metaphysical, it goes into everything. And so you do have to find, what is your stillness? Is it walking a half marathon? Mm-hmm. Is it painting in nature? Is it, meditating for 30 minutes a day? Is it whatever? I mean, there's just so many different ways, and I'm sure your book really does a great job of outlining some different options. But you have to find the one that really resonates with you. Mm-hmm. And in other words, if you try a tool, a still momentum tool from somebody, and it just doesn't resonate, that doesn't mean that you don't need it. It doesn't mean you don't need a tool. It means that's just not the one for you. Mm-hmm. So.
And I think too that knowing that the book is 100 pages, it's a flight. It's a weekend read. It's an easy read.
Yeah.
And it's something to go back to over and over again. It go in with no expectation and experience the magic. I'll say it again.
I love it. I love it so much.
I love you so much.
I feel like we're going to run a marathon together, a half, and we're going to walk it. I'm so grateful that you came. Thank you so much for coming to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for sharing your energy. I can tell you, I obviously didn't know you before you started incorporating Still Momentum, but from the moment I met you literally at the door, I can tell that you've got this beautiful presence and energy. And so retreat leaders, please get in contact with her and see how you can harness in a beautiful, still way her framework and bring it into your retreats. I think it'll benefit everybody involved. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
This was awesome.
Appreciate it.
Till next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. If you love this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your retreat besties. Want more support? Grab free resources at theretreatleadersplaybook.com. Until next time, lead boldly, serve deeply, and retreat profitably.